Well, this is a very good question, and not an easy one, I must say. So I will elaborate the answer a bit in different steps. So, of course, you really want to avoid, when you intervene in a development cooperation, that you kind of simplify the things and create interventions, and then a few years later you come back, everything is gone. So that is, of course, something you really want to avoid. But how to make it sustain? So, but we took all the lessons learned. So we did that at head office, this exercise. We took all the lessons learned from different countries, and we said, first we really have to understand the picture. So a thorough analysis. The analysis not only include what are the root causes, but who is involved, what do the beneficiaries want, what is their position, why had other things failed. And also, when you look at from a systemic perspective, what are the dynamics, who are the different stakeholders, why are things as they are, without blaming people, etc. So there is a reason why things work or don't work. And based on that understanding, we developed the so-called leverage points. So we did that for the portfolio I'm running, the private sector development with youth employment. So we said, we take a system that is big enough and small enough to work in, and that was youth employment, and we selected agriculture sector. So we scope. Then within this sector, with all the analysis, we said, okay, what are then the points, the so-called leverage points, where we should intervene based on all the understanding how the system works, so that we might have a higher chance for sustainability. So we said at a certain point, based on that study, for instance, access to finance, access to land, some of those, and the skills, of course, of young people to find work and to be entrepreneur. So there are some of those things. If you could really intervene in those, I sometimes call leverage point buttons. If you can turn them, if you can, so then you might longer term create systemic change. So systemic change meaning, and that is the kind of ultimate goal in the development cooperation. You leave, the donors, we all leave, and it works. So we did that. We did the mapping, we did the thorough analysis, we talked a lot, we engaged a lot of people. And when we started the program, we make sure that they not only focus on their output, like so many people trained for, no, but they also somehow target the leverage point, really try to get more access to finance, access to land, etc. So this is an approach that kind of acknowledging the complexity in the area where we are working with. And since it is complex, you cannot just say, okay, if we do this, this will do, that is too simple. So what we said with our program, for instance, the portfolio I'm running, 4 times a year we sit together, we learn from each other. And we learn and we exchange and we try to create synergy so that, we all get better results. And that not only within the implementing partners, we include government institutions, other projects that we are not funding as the Netherlands, for instance. So connecting is really a key in this one, because all of us, donors, implementing partners, institutions, we do something for a certain topic, and if we connect, we are so much stronger. So that is the approach that we took, and we know it is difficult. So on the way, the past 3 years, we were very busy collecting lessons learned. So what did we try? What worked well? What didn't work? To come to your second question, what lessons can we bring and to the Netherlands? We not only bring the lessons learned to the Netherlands, to our head office, but we learn together with them, because they are very much involved in this approach. And we sometimes call ourselves the believers that things will really change, that we will be sustainable, that it will have an impact if you know, follow this, and while following it, take the lessons learned and really be brave enough to do it differently if you feel like, oh, it didn't work because we misunderstand the situation, or we made it too simple, or you know, things are a bit different than the assumptions made in the design. So yes, I really believe in it. And what we have, so this approach in Tunisia, we are applying it for a few years now, more to go. But what we already have established is at the head office level, we recognize and we say, okay, some things went well, some things could have been better. So we already adjust things, and we are going to implement this approach in several countries. So at this moment, this is applied in 10 countries, and we call it experiment, but it will be expanded. So first little successes maybe, but I really do believe that it's about really understanding. Don't try to look for fast, quick wins. Understand, but also realize we are just one player in the system. There are so many other players, and they are doing good things. So connect, learn from each other, see what you can do better, what they can do, and also how you can help each other to create more results or in this work, in this case, employment in the agri sector in Tunisia. So we are booking some successes, but we also have to be modest, step by step. It's funny you call it crisis already. We labeled it in a way. Yeah, and of course, it is a shock. It's a big shock wave. What is happening now? When I work with NGOs, just as an example, sometimes they want to do anything as long as there's funding for it. So I will never encourage that, because I believe you know what your strengths are. You know the experience that as an organization that you have been building up for the last 10 years, 20 years, etc. Use that strength and say, this is what we are good at, and do that in the world. So in this crisis, I think that is so much needed. Let's do the things that you're really good at, and you know, put that in the world. And yes, in this crisis, I know some of the NGOs may not survive, etc. But by the end, I'm still very positive. Even I've worked a long time in the development sector, and this is a very interesting period that we are living in. But I do believe that positive things will come out in this crisis. And we are forced to do the transition, but I hope we are wise enough to do that in a good way.